This is a subject that I'm very passionate about. Super excited to talk about it with everyone. I know some of you already do some winter training, some cycling indoors. Some of you may not. I think I've got just under an hour for this. Roughly. So we're gonna take some time. I will keep it brief because really there's not a whole lot to it. People always sometimes it seems a little daunting, sometimes it seems a little bit strange, especially for folks who've been very passionate about riding outside, to carry your rides indoors. But it's pretty direct and pretty simple when you get right down to it. So I'm gonna jump right in. I've got some of the big names up there in the game, and what we're looking at, and I'm going to refer to it as a game a lot, and I'll kind of explain why as we go. So I'm going to cover tonight some of the benefits. We're going to talk about some of the indoor cycling equipment, which we've brought some here. I've got some of my stuff. Jan brought one of her wheel-on trainers as well. We'll talk about the different apps that are out there that give you access to all the really cool features of indoor cycling. And then we'll finish with just talking about, obviously this is a social club. So you get indoors, it's just you in a dark basement that may or may not be really cold with a fan blowing on you and no friends. Which seems really, really lonely and a punchline for a joke, but the reality is there are plenty of ways to actually keep it social and make it even more social so that you can have group rides and things like that, even for private groups. So we'll talk about all that. All right, so some benefits. Well, the first one is fitness. So if you're like me, you will hold off until the very last minute to see what the weather's going to be for the chili wiener because you don't want to go ride in anything under 45-degree weather. So it looks like we will have a 4-star for the chili wiener because I will probably ultimately break down and decide to ride. But how do I stay fit throughout the year if I'm not riding when it gets cold outside? Well, even though it's a little bit colder in my basement than the rest of my house, it's really comfy to hop on a bike for an hour, 2 hours, as long as you want to. I mean, up to 12 or 14 hours. I know some people that ride 24-hour jaunts inside. There's some crazy guys that do these 7-day challenges where they sleep 6 hours a night and they're on their bike the other 18 hours a day. I don't know how they do it, but that's up to them. So it's a great way to stay fit and to stay active throughout the entire year. It's convenient, especially, let's say you're a rider who really prefers to stay on trails. There is nothing better than being able to jump on an indoor trainer, especially if you've got a group ride that you can get involved in, because you don't have to worry about traffic. You don't have to worry about weather issues. If it's raining outside, you can hop on your trainer. Comfort. This is a big one for me. I suffered for years with knee issues. Now cycling obviously is low impact on my knees, which is why I do it. But you don't have to worry about any kind of road noise when you're on an indoor trainer. Most indoor trainers are going to be set up on some sort of memory foam pad, some kind of workout pad. That's going to absorb anything that you might actually have from chatter from concrete under your trainer. So these don't beat up your joints. It's not like you're constantly having to adjust. So it's nice. You don't have to worry about getting sore. Safety, once again, no traffic. You don't have to worry about a car pushing you off the road. You don't have to worry about getting buzzed by somebody rolling coal on you. And then motivation. A lot of the indoor cycling platforms keep it fun and keep it light and have many different ways you can stay motivated and have a lot of fun doing it. All right, the equipment. So obviously you need something to get started and get going. So over here we've got the newer version up there of this guy. So this is Saris's wheel-on trainer, and they come in all kinds of different makes and designs. Some of them are smart, some of them are dumb. The difference is this. The dumb ones, you get on it, you ride, it is not going to adjust how hard the resistance is based on what you're doing in the app itself. A smart trainer will, to a point. So Wheel-on trainers are going to be your most affordable trainers. New ones usually range between 100 and 200 bucks. So a couple $100 is going to get you the nicest wheel-on trainer you can buy. And then, because it's a wheel-on trainer, you need a special tire. And that special tire runs about 50 bucks, and usually they'll last a couple months before they wear out. And you can actually see, no matter how hard I try to clean this, I actually have bits of tire on my wheel-on trainer from where it actually melts from working over time. Advantages of wheel-on trainers, they're affordable. Disadvantages of wheel-on trainers, there is a limit to what gradients they can handle. So if you're somebody who really wants to get on a bike and be a mountain goat indoors and climb lots and lots of mountains, a wheel-on trainer is not going to be able to provide the same kind of resistance that the other trainers will. Which brings us to direct drive trainers. So direct drive trainers, they're a little bit different. This is a direct drive trainer. These guys, what you see up there, the TAC-X is a nice one. Wahoo makes one called a Kicker that's nice. The real nice ones, though, you'll notice, are heavy. So this guy weighs probably at least 40 or 50 pounds, and most of that weight is actually in a big old flywheel that if you look in here, you can actually see it inside. The reason for the flywheel is, how do you simulate riding outside? Well, you've got that big weight in there. It takes a little bit more to spin it up. But when you're sitting on your bike, when you're first starting to take off, it takes a little bit more to spin your bike up and get it going. Likewise, if you're going down a hill on the computer, it will then kind of carry some of your momentum, so it feels a little bit more like the real thing. These guys are pretty much always smart trainers, which means that whatever you see on your screen, and we're going to see some screenshots here in a minute with the apps, that's what you're feeling. So if you're going up a 2% grade, you're going to feel a 2% grade. If you're going up a 10% grade, you're going to feel a 10% grade. Where the limitations on these guys are, even though they're really, really awesome, they too tend to be a little bit more expensive, ranging from about $300 to $1,100. And they'll only go up to about a 15% grade. So if you really like climbing once again, and you want to go ahead and try to climb a 22% grade, you're only going to feel 15 on this guy. But feel free to downshift into a really, really hard gear, and you can pretend. Neat thing about these guys, another neat thing about these. Say, my buddy told me that I really should be riding a different cassette, because you're going to put your own bike on either one of these. You really should ride on this new cassette. It's got a really nice big cog, and the shifting's nice, and you know what? It'll make it easier if you do climb anything. Well, you need to put a cassette on this thing anyway. If you're like me, I don't want to take it off of my road bike. I'd rather just, keep it on my road bike and not have to fuss with it, putting it back and forth. So you can spend a winter with a different cassette, maybe trying it out, see if you like it, and then when the spring comes around, you can decide if you want to put the new cassette on your outdoor bike because it rides a little bit better. Because this is going to shift just like your outdoor bike does. Just like that.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
You said you put your bike on there,
Sure do.
but then, so you have two different cassettes? You have two cassettes? You put your,
You
just,
take the wheel off.
Yeah, the back wheel comes off, and then this becomes your back wheel.
and that one is your, also your back tire.
Yep, and then this one just keeps your tire. So these are neat. Both of these are neat because these are going to use your outdoor bike. The danger in these, I will tell you, is depending on how much power you put out, they can eat up a carbon frame. So most guys ride on aluminum, old aluminum or steel frames on these. Like I've got one of my old aluminum frames because I did in fact, I can't remember which one it was. I think it might have been that one. I actually bent one of my aluminum frames. So it can happen.
What do you mean eat up a carbon frame? Does it cause cracks or what?
Yes. Yep. Even though you don't have the vibration, when you really, really, really wrench on these, so say I'm sprinting in a race online, when you really wrench on these, you can actually cause stress fractures in the back end. Because if you really, really get going, even though this is about 45, 50 pounds, you might actually lift this off the floor. You'd be surprised. It doesn't take as much as you think it does. So
Okay, so how adjustable is it?
As far as,
For your bike.
so this is, from an adjustability standpoint, as far as how,
Like raise and lower,
Oh.
it looks like the frame would. Yeah,
So,
if
there's
you have a
no-
large frame.
there's no adjustment needed because this is about the same height as a 700C back wheel. So if you ride 26s in the back, it'll feel a little bit different, but not that far. So if you're riding 24s, say if you're somebody who's pretty short that's riding on 24s, it'll take some getting used to because you're gonna feel like you're leaning a little bit. But they also will make a front block. They make higher height blocks for the front tire that will raise it up so that you don't feel like you're leaning forward. I didn't bring any of my blocks. I have a couple different ones, but I didn't bring any of those with me.
Change the angle of your.
Yep. I know some folks that have 3 or 4 different ones, and if they're in a climbing day, they'll put a really high block on the front. They make them. It's kind of silly, and then you're like this, so you feel like you're climbing a little bit. So yeah, so that's your direct drive. Then there's one step even past this, and that is Smart Bike. So this is a Wahoo Kicker Pro.
Like a Peloton?
Like a Peloton, and Peloton is its own universe. So Peloton is kind of, what they said is, we're gonna have our own fitness universe, kind of like Nordic Track, kind of like Bowflex. These are companies that wanna kind of have their own little niche that they dig out in the fitness world. When it comes to indoor cycling training, for most serious cyclists though, you're gonna see these Wahoo bikes, you're gonna see a lot of guys still have Stages bikes. Unfortunately, Stages went bankrupt, and when Giant bought them out of bankruptcy, they stopped making the bikes. So you're gonna see guys with Stages bikes because those for a long time were the best you could get. You're gonna see guys with Zwift bikes. Zwift makes a bike now. So real serious cyclists, especially professional cyclists that are doing this inside, are gonna have something like this. Smart bikes completely mimic and are completely adaptable to whatever your outdoor bike looks like. They're so adaptable if you want to try different setups and things like that, you can. Nice thing about these, you can see the crank. It's got all those different holes on it. You can go from about 165 millimeter crank length the whole way up to like 180, I think, on most of them. So I ride 165s outside. I ride 165s outside because once I got my Smart Bike, I went from 172.5s down to the 165s and realized, oh wow, this is so much better.
Because how powerful?
It doesn't tire my legs down. I have short legs for my height, so I need shorter cranks.
So what are you talking about? 165, 172,
Millimeters.
the length of the crank?
Yep. Length from the center of your cog to the end of the crank. So, but they make it, it's nice. So if you're kind of a bike nerd and you like to tinker, which I like to tinker, it gives you an opportunity to tinker. Now, this guy, unfortunately, even though it will most accurately replicate any outdoor riding experience you have, straight up to there is a little motor somewhere in there that when you're going downhill online, it will actually kick the motor in to truly simulate your coasting downhill.
Speeding.
Yes. So the price for entry for that feature is $4,000. That's the high end. So this is the best of the best. Right now, though, you can get nice used Wahoo kickers that, the fun thing is people get these things, they use them for a winter and they go, oh, it's not for me. And then you can get them for about a third of the price online. So you can see a lot of nice used stuff for about $1,000 to $1,500. And then like the Zwift bike, which is becoming one of the most popular ones, it's actually a wheel run trainer with a special frame that's just made for indoor cycling that's very adaptable. It's, I think, $1,200. So there's options. The other nice thing about these, I will say, is they're very low maintenance because there's no chain. Most of them are actually running inside. There is actually a carbon fiber belt, which needs changed after like 20,000 miles. So you're really not gonna have a ton of maintenance on them. By the time you do have maintenance on them, they're gonna have something better and more awesome that you're gonna wanna buy. All right, so other things you need, things that people forget about. A good fan. So stationary riding is kind of funny. Your body will actually build up a thermal shield around itself while you're riding on a stationary bike. So you have to have something to wick away all of that heat. Now, fans are funny. You can do what I do and just spend some money at Rural King, get a big old barn fan, which makes me super happy. Or they have smart fans that will simulate how fast the air is moving. So if you have money to burn, get a smart fan. They're like $500, and yeah, I think they're silly, but that's just me. You'll obviously need a tablet, laptop. Apple TVs will actually support a lot of these apps. Computer or a TV connected to your computer or a laptop or any kind of screen and monitor connected to a computer. You'll need a towel, earbuds, headphones. Those come in useful, especially if you're doing group rides and you want to get a little bit more social. An inexpensive podcast mic, like a podcast mic from Amazon for like $50 is all you really need. And then one thing, depending on how the data is getting transferred, because obviously the data's got to get from here to your computer, you need an ANT Plus receiver or Bluetooth capable equipment. So I use ANT Plus. Everybody keeps saying it's going to die. It hasn't died in the years that I've been doing this, so I'm just kind of going with it and saying it's okay. So any questions about the equipment or anything else that kind of goes into that?
I assume the podcast mic is just so we can talk to each other.
Yep. Because most headphones have little mics on it, but they're muffled. So a good podcast mic makes it, that way you can actually hear each other when you ride.
So I missed the part of the talk where you talked about it. Let's say I'm on the end on-bike trainer over there. What website are you going to? How are you making this to a group ride to say, oh, there's a hill coming up or that kind of thing?
Awesome. That is a great segue.
What site are you looking at?
That's a great segue. So, I did not, by the way, he's new and I did not pay him. It's a shame. All right, so the indoor cycling apps. Here, when we talk about the environment you ride in and kind of like, where can I do this? What gives me entrance to this absolutely wonderful world of riding? Zwift. Zwift is your major player in the indoor cycling world. There are more riders on Zwift than probably any other platform combined. I'm sure I could find that number somewhere, but I'm going to tell you that's probably extremely accurate. So with Zwift, they literally started with, I think, 30 kilometers of roads in this virtual world called Wautopa. I can remember when, I think it was, because there are two different kinds of indoor riders. There are BC riders and AC riders, before COVID and after COVID. Or during COVID, I guess. So we've got AC/DC. So I'm a BC guy. So I've been riding indoors for a long time because I had friends that were doing it. They said, you've got to try this. And it was super fun, and I was hooked immediately. So I can remember when Zwift was literally 2 or 3 separate little worlds with not a ton of roads available, but some cool stuff. Now, I think they're up to, I want to say they rotate a schedule about 10, 12 different worlds. They've got real world routes. They've got a bunch of stuff from Paris, because at one point they were hosting the Tour de France for the Femmes. During COVID, they've got New York. They've got virtual routes in New York. They've got real live routes in New York. So if I want to hop on a bike and I want to sprint around Prospect Park and match my times to other guys that are doing that in the real world, because it's a thing, I can. They have Prospect Park. So, but with Zwift, and you can see from the picture here, Zwift is making no bones about the fact that they're trying to make this look like you're outside. We know we're inside. We are embracing it. So they actually gamify the experience. They They try to make it as fun as they can. They try to make it as engaging as they can. So you can see it's more of kind of like a video game feel. There's tons of data if you want it. You don't have to have it. You can turn it off. You can just ride. You can just have a blank screen, which is nice. Sometimes I just turn my screen off and just ride. You can decide if you want to see how you're doing. In this case, this person is doing a workout, and you can actually see their power output at the bottom, which is another big advantage of indoor cycling. If you don't have a power meter for outdoor cycling, and that's not really your thing, and you don't want to drop the $500 to $700 on, a really good power meter or for good power meter pedals, this is a power meter. This is a power meter. So this will actually tell you how you're performing. It'll give you an idea if you're getting better, you're getting stronger, or if you're not. So the other thing that Zwift does really well that kind of attracts people to it is they have a ton of really neat opportunities on Zwift. They have group rides. They have private group rides. They have races. They have extended racing events. They have extended touring events where you tour with a whole bunch of people in a whole bunch of different spots in Zwift. And then if you just want to jump on and just want to ride, you can just ride. Or if you want to pick from a huge library of training opportunities on Zwift, you can as well. And you can actually do training sessions on Zwift too. So, and here's the big one. It is the most social of all the riding platforms. So Zwift provides the most opportunities to ride with others and have fun.
I got a question.
Sure.
When you're riding with a group, a social ride, what do you talk about and how do you talk if you're out of breath?
So here's the neat thing about social rides on Zwift, and it's something they added about, I want to say it's about 2 years ago now. So with Zwift, for the group rides, they actually have an option for rubber banding. And what it is, no matter how strong the strongest rider is, and how weak the weakest rider is, as long as you keep pedaling, you stay together as a group. So if, say, we wanted to put a group together and you just had this huge spectrum of talents in this group, somebody could be doing a really, really tough workout off the front and really putting out some watts, and they'd be no more than 20, 30 meters from the person at the end of the group with, say, 30 or 40 people in between them. So those are nice because you don't have to ride that hard. You can still have a conversation with everybody, and it's fun. On the flip side, and this is normally Thursday nights are my team time trial night. On the flip side, you have team time trials where you've got anywhere from 4 to 8 people, because there's a lot of really strong female riders that I've ridden with as well online, and we're all mic'd up. So we all have our mics, we all have our headsets on, and we were actually competing against hundreds of other teams worldwide in a team time trial, and we've got to be able to talk because we're taking 30-second to 1-minute pulls on the front, and then we're rotating in the back, and we're so there, yes, there's a whole lot of huffing and puffing and some other, gross noises sometimes, but so yeah. Any other questions about Zwift?
What does it cost?
So I have a slide at the end with the cost of everything.
So
Okay.
you have to join, when you buy a bike, most of the smart bikes are connected to a program that
So-
you have to invest in also.
Most smart bikes will have their own program, their own app that you can download. So case in point, Saris has an app that allows me to tell this trainer what to do. They even have some training sessions and workouts built into the app as well that I can choose to use. But the thing is, I'm gonna be on a trainer, staring at a wall, listening to hard rock or whatever I'm in the mood for that day, and it's gonna be super boring. So you can buy one of these trainers just to ride and make the adjustments on your phone while you're riding. But this kind of makes it a lot more entertaining.
You must be a gamer.
Many, many, many moons ago. Not so much anymore.
Also, what kind of parameters does it measure for power?
So-
I'm not familiar with a lot of the
Sure.
watts and stuff.
So pretty much everything, everything from a cycling power standpoint is gonna be just your raw watts output. And then what translates to actual performance is gonna be obviously your height, your weight, and then that all comes into a figure that we call watts per kg. So everything in cycling is all European. So it's watts per kilogram. The higher you can generate, the more power you can generate at a lower weight, the better your performance is on one. But some trainers are fancy enough that they'll tell you your watt differential from one foot to the other, so they'll give you your power output left and right. It gets really, really fancy. Do you have to get that fancy? No. No. It gets as crazy as some of these guys that are actually racing professionally, and there is a whole ecosystem inside of Zwift where there's guys that race professionally inside of there. Not only do you have to have the power that this is reading, you also have to have those power pedals on your bike as well so that you can actually dual record your power in case something goes sideways and your performance is out of range, so that they can flag you and kick you out of the results. So it gets pretty serious. But on the other side of it, it can be as chill as I just go on once a week and I just ride with a little group and we take it easy and we don't ride that hard, we just ride for fun. Any other questions?
One other thing that I think you didn't mention about basic groups.
Yeah, oh yeah, yep. So pacer groups, Zwift knows that sometimes folks just want to jump on and they want to kind of crank out maybe at this pace or at that pace. It's very similar to our star chart. So a 1-star ride would be equivalent of a pacer group that's riding at a D category pace. A 2-star ride would be kind of like a high D, low C. 3-star would be a C, and then 4-star would get into what they call a B category. So they have these little pacer groups that have all these different speeds at which they're riding and powers that you kind of have to put out, and you can pick one of those and just ride. And there's always a whole bunch of people around the little robot that's riding, and it's a little glowing robot. And the colors correspond with how fast they're riding. It's pretty neat.
I was curious, have you found out something that you learned riding, getting involved in time trials, climbing,
Oh yeah.
better at sprinting than you thought you were or something?
So a lot of the training sessions, and we'll actually get into some of the training apps here in a moment, because those are kind of add-ons that you can layer on top of all this. A lot of the training sessions will actually take you through some drills, which will then really bring to your attention, hey, am I keeping my knees straight? Am I stronger with my right leg than I am with my left leg? Am I weak at high RPMs? Am I a guy that likes to pedal slower? Actually, one of the best things I ever did, and this was when, for crying out loud. I can't remember his name, the New Zealander. Heavens, it's gonna drive me nuts. Either way, professional cyclist, had some mental health issues, took time away. Sir Mark Cavendish. Took some time away. Well, while he was away, he rediscovered his passion for cycling on Zwift. So they actually had some rides with Mark Cavendish, which was really, really awesome. So I got to ride with Mark Cavendish on Zwift. And I learned a ton, because the whole time he was riding, he was talking about his cycling life and what he looks for and what's important to him. So sometimes there's special events like that where you can actually ride with these guys or gals, and it's awesome. You just listen in, you put your earbuds on, and you just listen.
As far as the display is concerned, do you set it up in front of a TV or your phone as the other extreme, or what?
It could be as simple or as fancy as you want. I've ridden on my phone because I had a glitch, and I'm late for my time trial, so I'm riding on a screen this big. And right now, I think I splurged and got like a 42-inch. That seems to be my favorite size. I had a 42-inch, and my son broke it fighting with my other son with lightsabers. Story about that.
Two boys.
Yes, boys will be boys with Dad's TV. But I went back to this 42 inch, and it's actually, that seems to be the size where it's not too much, where it's out of my field of vision. But yeah, it can be as fancy or as scaled down as you want. All right.
Oh, could you just dumb this down a bit? Is anybody else experiencing that?
That's fine. It's good.
So, this is the simplest. It
Yes.
seems to me 30 years ago, there was an even simpler one. Is that true? Maybe not.
So there is, and actually, I forgot to put these on there. You can actually get rollers too. You can ride on rollers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can ride on your rollers. The only thing is you would need something to measure your power. So they have smart rollers that will actually work as a power meter now and will actually adjust the
And my
resistance.
phone can't tell me that, huh?
So if you don't have a power meter, what it'll do is it'll estimate your power based on how fast you're spinning. So that, it's not bad. It's just you won't get the same out of it.
What would I do with my power dimensions? I mean, it depends how much you want to know and how much it helps you.
Bingo. It's as simple as if you don't care and you just want to ride inside and you just want kind of an authentic experience riding in the wintertime, if you can't get out, it can be as simple as that. And for most people, that's exactly what it is. They'll buy something, they won't spend a ton of money on it, they'll buy it, put their bike on it, and then hooking up is very, very easy. It's very user friendly. And then they load everything up on the computer and they just ride. And you get on the bike and pedal and your little
And you can
avatar.
still do Zwift.
Zwift?
You can still join that as just a recreational rider.
Sure can. They even have, all of them also have this whole thing where you can pause your subscription for a certain amount of time to save the charge. Because a lot of people will stop riding indoors when the summer comes around. I keep mine up year round just because of my time trials, but I don't do a ton of indoor riding as soon as it gets nice enough outside. But yeah, so, and they get that. So now the price is the price regardless, but if you're doing it to be recreational, which once again, I would say 90% of the people that are riding are doing it as a recreation. They're not getting fancy. They're not getting all data driven and all that fun stuff. It's as simple as you want it or as complicated as you want. Kind of like life. Only I think life just is complicated in general. So if I figure out how to make it simple, I'll let everybody.
Is Wahoo a similar program?
So Wahoo is a manufacturer they manufacture all their own equipment. So Wahoo actually does have a training platform called Sufferfest.
Suffer less or suffer what?
Sufferfest.
Wait, that has to be trademarked.
It is. They bought Sufferfest. Sufferfest was one of the most popular indoor training companies. I used Sufferfest in the past. It truly does sound like what it is. It's brutal. But Wahoo is more into the manufacturing side of everything. So it's more a matter of seeing their equipment out there as opposed to actually riding on a Wahoo app. But just like and some of you may use the Wahoo app on your phones, if you've got Wahoo speed monitors and stuff like that, if you've got, you're using Wahoo, for crying out loud, their cadence monitors and their speed monitors. I think my very first cadence and speed monitors on my outdoor bike was Wahoo, and I just had the Wahoo app on my phone, and it was my GPS, and it kind of tracked, and it was my bike computer for a long time. They do the same thing for indoors, like you can use their products for indoor riding and do the same things. All right. So Zwift's the biggest one. Ruvi is probably the second biggest. And if you look at that picture, it looks like you're actually outside because that's Ruvi's big thing. Big difference between Zwift and Ruvi is Ruvi truly wants you to feel like you're outside. They've got a huge library of real life rides. If you want to ride in Japan, ride in Japan. If you want to climb a mountain in Peru, climb a mountain in Peru. If you feel like riding through the streets of New York, ride through the streets of New York. You can even create your own routes in the real world, and it will take you through your own little routes. Matter of fact, I was on Ruvi for a little while, and one of my routes that I ride in the summer times on lunch at work down Lake Road, it was on Ruvi. So I could literally jump on Ruvi and do my lunchtime ride from Westlake to Lakewood and back because they had a route in Cleveland. So it's kind of neat from that standpoint because it does all the same things Zwift does, it just does it in the real world, period. And it makes it look really, really real. Ruvi, I will tell you though, doesn't really get into any of the group kind of stuff, the training thing, they don't do as much of. And it's more just kind of jumping on as free riding. And then they do have a limited training library that you can use, but even Ruvi kind of encourages you to use your own training app layered on top of everything else if that's really what you want to do. So it's still fun. I mean, I did it for a while. But any questions about Ruvi? I'm going to cover this one because when asked what's the price, there is a free option out there. Thanks to all of our friends at the United Arab Emirates, who are really, really, really super into cycling, by the way. They have something that is kind of an in-between of Zwift and Ruvi. It's gamified, but it's a little bit more realistic. It's free, but the big thing with my Whoosh is it's really focused on racing. So if you're not really interested, if you're interested in riding in a group and you're not interested in racing, good luck. They're not really going to have anything for you. But if you just want to kind of hop on and free ride and see what it's like and not have to pay to play, there's my Whoosh. Completely subsidized by all the oil barons in the Middle East. So I'm just going to gloss over these because these are things you can layer on top. This is kind of what we just talked about is the, hey, if you just want to go ride and have fun, any one of these options are fine. If you want to kind of get a gauge for how your performance is compared to the real world, and if it's kind of similar, what we just talked about is fine. And I will tell you, this is the one big question I usually get. I should have covered it. The one big question I usually get is, Sean, how realistic is riding inside compared to riding outside? I have ridden plenty of routes indoors that completely mimic rides that I've done outdoors. The only difference is I'm not getting all the road noise. My performance is extremely similar. If I'm sprinting up a mountain, although there aren't a whole lot of mountains around here, but when I go back to Pennsylvania, if I'm sprinting up a mountain climb in Pennsylvania and I do it online, my times are going to be extremely similar. I might be a little bit faster online, but that's also because online I'm riding the equivalent of a $25,000 bike. In real life, I'm not going to spend $25,000 on a bike. So if I had said $25,000 bike, would my performance be the same? Anybody want to buy me a $25,000 bike? All right, so these are, like I said, I'm just going to kind of gloss over these a little bit. Trainer Road, this is layered on top. It's a very popular training program. It uses AI. If you feel like spending $300 or $400 a month to get a professional coach to put together actual training sessions for you, you can do that here. And you can communicate back and forth with your coach. It can be fully integrated into Zwift, so you can actually do your workouts in Zwift, so you get the advantage of riding through all these wonderful routes while also training. They can also be completed directly in their app if you so choose, but I will tell you that's kind of boring. Or there's even people that will have Trainer Road down at the bottom of their screen and have Zwift at the top of their screen. This is one that I have done in the past because it kind of, if you are doing this because you want to get stronger and you want to do some training, this one will kind of challenge you while making sure it gives you plenty of rest. And it will grow with you and your skill sets. And you can say, I want to work on sprinting. You can say, I want to work on climbing. You can say, I want to work on just overall getting stronger. And it can actually tailor all that for you. Training Peaks. So Training Peaks is more focused on data as opposed to training. Training Peaks is huge in cycling, but Training Peaks is more, you gather all of your workout data and it tells you how your performance is stacking up and what you may need to be doing. This tool is not really going to give you workouts, it's going to tell you how your workouts are doing. You come up with the workouts, it'll analyze it for you. So Training Peaks is popular though because of that. It's a very useful tool year round. And then last, this is my favorite over the last couple of years, is Exert. Much like Sufferfest, Exert is extremely challenging. It does not like to give you breaks. As a matter of fact, it likes to embarrass you into doing more. So Exert is kind of like if you took Training Peaks and Trainer Road and put them together, you would have Exert. So it's very data driven, almost to the point of, I know some people have dropped it because it's so much, but the workouts are extremely challenging. They grow with you. You can ask the AI to create a workout for the day based on how much time you have, and it'll create your own little workout. So it's kind of neat. And the wealth of data that you get from it is actually very, very useful. All right, so here's the big question. What does this cost me? So aside from, so you went out, you got yourself a wheel-on trainer, you spent about $150, you got the other little stuff you needed, you went and got an Ant Plus dongle on Amazon for $15, got your towel, got your fan. So I want to ride on Zwift. It's $19.99 per month or $199 per year. If you're deciding that you're going to be a seasonal rider on Zwift, obviously you do the $19.99 per month, and then you go ahead and you shelve your membership, you pause it. I think they'll let you pause up to either 90 days or it might be 6 months now. It's a long time. Rouvy, same thing, only they give you a little bit better discount if you pay for the year, and then Rouvy will also give you discounted rates for if it's just 2 people that are riding, or if you want a family membership. My Whoosh is free, and their other big thing is you can win money. So if you want to race and win money, My Whoosh is out there. Trainer Road is $21.99 per month on top of getting access to one of these other platforms, which is why I said this is kind of a bonus, or $209 per year. Training Peaks is $19.95 per month, or $119 per year. And then Exert, which is possibly why it's been my favorite the last couple of years, is only $14.99 per year. Because let's be fair, I'm already dropping $20 a month to get access to Zwift. If I'm going to layer something on top of it to get better training, because the Exert training is better than Zwift's training, I don't want to, spend another $20. So I cut it down to $15. And then last but not least, obviously we want to keep it fun. We want to have the same kind of fun in our indoor rides as we do in our outdoor rides. So this is a picture of a screenshot of a Zwift indoor ride, a group ride. That's actually a group workout, which they have, which is kind of neat. So there are probably, let's see, cut it off at the bottom. There's probably 80 people riding together. A group this size, they're probably not going to be mic'd up. They're probably not going to be talking. Plus, it's a workout, so nobody wants to talk.
Are these avatars or pictures?
What's that?
Are those avatars or pictures?
Those are avatars.
Okay.
So those are all the avatars, all little avatars. The only thing that I would say would be more fun is if you have a little bit more like freedoms for your avatar. they're very generic, but it is what it is. Normally, you're just looking at the back of your avatar's head anyway. So, but they do have different avatars for men and women. You can actually pick your body shape now. It's all kinds of fun stuff.
Just want to make sure I didn't have a camera in my basement pointing at me.
You can if you want.
Don't want
That's okay. You can if you want. I know guys that do. There's guys that I ride with, and instead of just hearing them on Discord, they're up there, and I can actually see them, cycling as they go. Some of the strongest cyclists I know, for some reason, like to do that. It's weird. So, but think of this as, let's say, our Wednesday night Star Chase rides. So the Wednesday night rides, you could organize, instead of having to do different star levels, you could organize a rubber band ride, and we could get 40 or 50 people on Zwift to do, say, a Sunday afternoon ride or a Saturday afternoon ride. And we could all have our mics, we could be chatting with each other, and if you want to work a little bit harder, great. If you don't, we could pick different routes. We could ride in Scotland, we could ride in France, we could ride in New York. And the way Zwift works is you can create a private group inside of Zwift. You can create your own private channel. So we could have our own Silver Wheel Cycling Club group. Now, I don't know what it takes to get your jersey, artwork and stuff like that in there, but you can even do that. The group I ride with in Zwift, Dirt, they have their own jersey designs. You can actually buy the jerseys in real life. I have one because they're really neat. But then you can organize your own private groups. The only people that can ride are the folks that are members of your group. So we could advertise, hey, we've got a group ride on this day, and everybody could join in, and we don't even have to worry about, let's break it all down by this, that, and the other. We can just ride and have fun. And you ride at your own pace, but everybody stays together. So, let's say there is no group ride and you want to jump on a group ride, because I'll do this sometimes. There are tons of group rides on there all the time with hundreds of people, and I'll just jump in and ride with them. And I might not be mic'd up, but I might just be chatting, just kind of typing as I go and chatting with them and meet new people, and they may end up following you, you may end up following them, and you kind of make riding friends online too. So, yeah, so it's a little bit different.
Is it a voice to text that you're chatting through?
You can do, just whatever you have your computer's capable of, your phone's capable of. So my setup, so you see Discord at the top there. Discord's a free, it's actually for gamers, but online cyclists love it because it has noise cancellation. So you don't hear the fan, you don't hear all that other stuff. So I'll have my computer running Discord. I've got my monitor, and then I've actually got my phone running a companion app to my main app on the screen, and I can type messages in the companion app. I can do talk to text through that right there. Depending on how hard the ride is, I'll do either or. If it's kind of an easy, relaxed ride, I'll just type. It's fun. You kind of get set up, and then once you have your setup done, it's easy.
So I have a question. I'm pretty much all of Ruby. Ruby, when you're talking to other people, can you get information from them? Do you know where they live? Can you go and get telephone numbers with them? You can't do that with Ruby. Yeah, it's like all anonymous. So you can make a friend with somebody on you, but after the ride's over, there's no way of really contacting.
Unless
It's a private thing. I was just wondering if it's that way too.
But so like my racing club online on Zwift, Dirt, I've actually forged some really good friendships. A lot of them. So I did a charity ride a couple years ago for my wife, and about a year and a half ago now. And some of them were actually riding online while I was riding in real life to support me. A lot of them actually donated to the charity ride. The day after the charity ride, like 5 or 6 of us got together for just a cool down ride. Just talk about
contact them.
All through the app.
All through the app.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't think you can even do that with Ruby. I don't think.
So Zwift is more focused on the whole social piece of it because they're trying to make sure they keep that. So you can friend somebody on Zwift,
Got it.
But that's all I know. I just know. So, and then if they decide they want to share more, great. Like I know there's probably at least 20 or 30 guys here between Columbus and Cleveland that I ride with online. And I think I've only ever ridden with 2 or 3 of them in real life. But there's that piece of it too. So with Discord, say you do become part of a larger club, then you might get to know other folks because in Discord you can chat back and forth. The chats get a little bit more involved, and they may even have, like the Dirt Channel has real life rides, where somebody will publish a real life ride and say, hey, I'd love as many dirt folks to come to this real life ride as can. I'd love to meet you guys in real life. And you can actually forge some strong relationships that way and meet some really strong riders. Or meet some guys who are really strong online, but that's because they fib. I've met them too.
Because they what?
They fib. If you're 140 pounds, say you're 140 pounds, but if you're 190 pounds, don't tell the computer you're 140 pounds just so you can climb that hill faster. Because somebody will find it. But most indoor cyclists for the social side of it will use Discord, which is completely outside. But Zwift does make it very easy to chat back and forth. And yeah,
Do we have any idea how many of our members have trainers at all, or?
that is a great question. And I know.
You're talking about, club ride at Swift, I'm just wondering.
So, I know we have a handful. I do know we have a handful. I know of that handful, I know there's a handful that are on Ruby. Because it is more realistic, and folks really like that kind of vibe. So as far as how many of us are on Zwift, I can say positively right now, 2. Me and Jeff. Oh,
My husband
3.
is.
Okay, so we've got 2. So Rob is too. So yeah, so we've already got some folks that are. It would be. Here's the thing. It's not. Is it necessary? No. Is it a lot of fun if you do it right? Oh yeah.
Is indoor riding a sickness as their cure?
It's the same as outdoor riding.
But you can't crash.
That is one of the nice things.
Can't get wet, you can't get.
No, you don't have to worry about getting rained on. You don't have to worry about getting snowed on. You don't have to worry about wearing thermals. Matter of fact,
There's no wind.
yeah, that is the one I will say. The no wind is honestly one of my favorites.
But no tailwind.
No Crestwick.
That's okay.
Tailwind.
Because if there's a tailwind, that means I'm going to turn around. There's going to be a headwind somewhere. I think I've had one ride outside in my life where I think it was a tailwind the whole way around. And I still don't know how I accomplished that. It had to. So yeah.
What's a rubber band ride?
It's where it keeps everybody together no matter what your skill level is.
Oh, okay.
So I can be riding 23 miles an hour off the front, and somebody can be riding 8 miles an hour off the back, and we.
So on your prices for like Swift and all the others, that's per person, correct?
Yes.
So if me and Brenda rode, I have to pay that twice.
Wish Swift would kind of catch on to what Ruby does. So instead of $19.99 a month, I think Ruby's Duo is $34.95 or $37.95. So they give you a small break. So I wish Swift would catch on to that, but because Swift is the biggest player in the market, I think they feel like,
We're the king.
well, and people are still signing up. So they got plenty of couples that sign up.
And you don't have tandem rides, right?
That's the one thing that would be really, really, really cool. Because technically you can put a tandem on either one of these.
We got our tandem on.
So now they have hand cycles. So I don't see why you couldn't throw a tandem on there. It's just, there'd only be one person on the app, one avatar on the leg.
Right.
So you can do it, but But they added hand cycles because there was a ton of interest from hand cyclists. So it's generally, hand cycles are normally for folks that have, for whatever reason, they've lost the use of their legs, or maybe their knees are completely shot. So they're literally pedaling like this.
Right.
So every once in a while you'll be cruising through the roads in Zwift and you'll see a hand cycle just kind of like floating, down the road. Yeah. Any other questions?
If there's no interest in the room in that thing, I would buy that.
So, yeah, oh yeah, by the way, yes, Jan is selling her wheel-on trainer. Honestly, I know I'm probably selling this guy my wheel-on trainers. I know. There's already first dibs on this one. Kind of like the chili wiener that I'm ultimately going to decide to ride on Saturday. I'm probably going to get rid of, it's just nostalgic, this is my first direct drive trainer. But I'm probably going to part with my direct drive as well, so that'll be something that we'll post to the club as well. So yeah, but yes, see Jan about her, she's got a Blackburn, which is a really solid piece.
But it's not a smart trainer, it's just a mechanical.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So this one, the nice thing about the Blackburn is it still does report. Does it report power or no?
No,
Okay, it's just
generic. I just hook my rear, put my rear axle through that spindle, and I put an old tire on, because it doesn't wear through the tire.
oh, there's your
And it
There's
does
your
have a
adjustment.
place where you can adjust the
Yep.
tension.
okay.
And I just use it in front of my television screen, and there's a lot of videos on YouTube, Bike the World, different, you can watch those while I ride.
Yeah, they have. They actually use a lot of those for exert. So if I wasn't on Zwift, I could just watch the videos, which is nice sometimes. So yes, so Jan's is not a smart trainer, which means that you adjust your tension with a hand dial. This one is a smart trainer. This one is also a smart trainer. So this will adjust the tension automatically or through an app, through Saris's app, which is pretty user friendly.
That's when you would adjust the resistance, is on an app.
You can, or the app does it for you. So, say I'm climbing one of the famous mountain routes in France or Italy. This will actually, this one will do up to 15% grade. So if I hit a 15, 16, 17% grade, this thing is going to get very, very hard to develop.
If you weigh 140 pounds, then it'd be lighter.
Exactly. Back in the day, guys would be racing, and they would actually, you could go into the app and you could change your weight right in the middle of a race. So they caught on to that pretty quick.
Sweat it off.
So a guy would be cruising along, just absolutely hammering it, beating everybody on the flats, and then all of a sudden he hits the hill and he just goes, phew. What happened? Yeah. He lost like 40 pounds overnight.
I'm laughing to myself as I think it was fun. Can you put your electric bike on one of these?
You could, yes. You sure could. You could put any bike on. So, yeah.
Yeah, if it is one of the motors
Hold it.
that's on the crank.
His electric bike won't work, it's front wheel drive.
So in that case, you gotta be stuck. Although in theory, you probably could figure out a way to make, that'd be kind of hard to do. All right.
That particular one, how many speed?
It's however, it's all based on your bike. So right now, I think I've got, let me see what I got in the bag. So I've got an 8-by cassette right now on there, but my, when I had my other bike on this, I had a 12-by. It was a SRAM 12-by.
So it's got the range to
Oh yeah, you can use, they're best with SRAM and Shimano, but they'll accept a couple of the other brands as well. But if you want to put a 12 by on this, you can. The smart bikes are different. So the smart bikes are kind of neat in that they have universal gearing. So I can set my smart bike to any gear style that I want to ride with that's popular in the real world. So changing my rear cassette is as easy as clicking a button, and it will automatically change the gear on a smart bike.
Do you have a smart bike?
I do. I have a Stages. That's the one thing that I really spoiled myself with was a Stages. And now that they're becoming very, very hard to get, I'm probably going to wait until the price gets driven up, and then I'll part with it, even though I shouldn't, and buy something else. It's kind of like iPhones.
When you do the group rides, are those scheduled, or can you do it at 2 AM or 2 PM or whatever you want?
So group rides are always scheduled, but there are so many that if you're not looking for a private group ride, you can hop into one that's going on at pretty much any time. There's almost always a group ride going on sometime on Zwift. But
There are users around the world.
oh yeah,
So, like at 2 AM. So,
yeah.
France at 7 p.m. Yeah.
I raced with a guy at 5 a.m. or it's 5:30. 5:30 for a whole racing season, and he was in Hong Kong. And he was 71, and he was one of the strongest riders that I've ever ridden with. So he was fun to ride with. And that was one where we were mic'd up, so we could be talking about strategy, race strategy, and stuff like that. I think there were 6 or 7 of us on the team. It was fun.
So on your smart trainer, you're having trouble with shifting on that, on your bike with that gear set? Because they're all spaced the same, no matter which.
Well, you're on your regular bike. So if it shifts fine outside, it'll shift fine here. The big thing you have to watch for there is if you are going to try a different cassette, obviously you want to make sure that cassette's going to be compatible with whatever you have on the bike. So if I'm running Shimano on an outdoor bike and I decide I want to throw a 12 by SRAM on this thing, it's probably not going to work. So right now, this has the 8 by Shimano, and at one point I think I had a 10 by on it. But that was when I met my friend. So I'm back to old bike, 8 by.
All right, any more questions?
How much do you get paid for Zwift for your?
It'd be nice, right? I wish they would, but they don't. No sponsorships. Although Pactimo gave me a sponsorship for 5 minutes before they made sponsorship available to everybody. So, yeah.
All right, I think we owe Sean a big round of applause. Thank you very much. All right.